Hello, my beautiful brothers and sisters. Today we have entered the third wave spell within the Yellow Southern Castle of Giving, the wave spell of the Blue Knight. If you've never heard about wave spells before, make sure to check out the video, The Structure of Wave Spells, and to better understand the calendar system containing these wave spell cycles, you can watch the video, The Structure of the Token. And if you want to dive deeper into exploring the castles, you can watch the video, The 5 Destiny Castles. This here is how the Blue Knight wave spell looks like, and we can see that it starts and ends with the same color from the blue magnetic knight until the blue cosmic eagle. I feel that the current world events make it pretty clear that on a collective level, this past White Dog wave spell has really brought to the surface the lack of unconditional love and the illusion of separation that exists among so many people. This is the main reason why people are able to harm others, because we see others not as part of ourselves, but as separate. But also, when we look at countries such as Poland and Romania and how these people are opening their hearts and their arms and their homes to welcome refugees, this kind of keeps the balance, and this is happening because these gestures bring to the surface the love and the care that some people still have for their brothers and sisters on this planet. So, after this very intense and interesting ride, Blue Knight comes and takes us on a mysterious journey of self-discovery, diving deep within our inner world to discover the totality of who we are. Its Mayan name is Akbal. It represents the journey back to the self so that we can discover the infinite abundance of our being. If you remember when we talked about the Yellow Human wave spell, how this archetype teaches us how to see and enjoy the abundance of this world, well, Blue Knight is kind of the same, but he teaches us how to discover the abundance that is hidden from sight, because it lies within. Blue Knight is the endless field of potential that can be found within our being in the depth of our human emotions and feelings. It represents the universe within that mimics the universe outside of us. His inner realm is the world of all possibilities, where anything is possible and is constantly in the process of creation, just like in Dreamtime. Obviously, because it's the night, we have to talk about dreaming. The night is a time for us to look more deeply at our thoughts, our emotions, our experience of the day. And this happens on one hand because at nighttime there just seems to be more room to think and contemplate on all of these things, since most people are asleep. And on the other hand, this happens automatically through our dreams. Anything that we are repressing, hiding, or rejecting will sooner or later end up manifesting itself through our dreams. Blue Knight is the conscious dreamer who knows that he is free to create the reality he wants, since it's his dream. Through conscious dreaming, we are free to explore and create all realities. In this dream time, there isn't any clear separation between then, now, here, there, real, unreal, dreamer, or dream. There isn't so much room for the limiting constructs of ordinary reality, such as space and time. Dream time is a field where past and future are combined in the matrix of the present. By becoming the conscious dreamers, we begin to consciously create our reality, not only for ourselves, but also for the collective dream field as well. Many dreamers are unfortunately in deep sleep. But this archetype is here to awaken those sleepers, to see beyond how things appear to be, to help them awaken to the fact that this life is only a dream, and we are kind of living its nightmare version. Besides connecting us with the infinite abundance of our inner world, Blue Knight is also the guide of the unconscious aspects within us. He is the guardian of our inner abyss. The unconscious mind is the container of all of our feelings, thoughts, beliefs, memories, traumas, emotions, all of the things that we are repressing that are outside of our conscious awareness. They're basically what makes the red earth get lost in the illusions of the past. Blue Knight helps us clear those illusions through his power of revealing our unconscious patterns to us. And he does this very, very clearly. And as we do the inner work and we start becoming aware of our unconsciousness, which is actually directing a huge part of our life without us being aware of it, we become aware of who we really are and what we really want from life. Blue Knight helps bring to the surface all of our beliefs, all of the patterns that we have learned from society, and all of our unconscious wounds, all of our repressed emotions and repressed desires. And it has a very strong power of introspection. And with this power, it helps us dive deep within our underworld. And if you remember what we spoke about in the previous video about the Wavespell of the white dog, how the white dog has this incredible capacity to understand people around him on a very, very, very deep level, so does the Blue Knight. And just as the white dog needs to experience the lack of self-love so he can learn how to love himself, so that he can in turn love others, kind of the same happens for the Blue Knight, who has to experience the absence of light so that he learns how to deal with the darkness of this world. So this means that in the shadows, because of his ability to see the unconscious patterns within himself and within others, he can end up becoming quite afraid of the scary gift. And this is because within the unconsciousness, there are a lot of repressed emotions, fears, little monsters and entities that are lurking around in the corners. So without presence and a detached awareness, when facing our shadows, we might feel as if it's a never-ending process, and a terrifying process that is. And because of all of this, Blue Knight can reject his scary gift, and he can refuse to face his hidden sadness and anger and fears, because for him doing so would seem like a never-ending process. And from all of this, he starts developing a very watery nature, preferring to flow in a comfortable space of dreams and unicorns in the world of imagination and daydream, but not really going too deep within. He consciously chooses to detach himself from the deep, wise person within, the one that can guide him back to his inner temple, because he's afraid to face all of his fears and the negative thinking that he encounters on his journey. But Blue Knight is the brave knight, so knight written with a K, that must dive in his inner darkness. Like, this is what he came here to do. And this is the shamanic path of the warrior of light, who needs to face his own shadows and inner demons so that he can release their blocked energy and transmute it into light and love. This process asks for a lot of courage for us to look at all of our being, including our fears, our anger, our lack of awareness, our unworthiness, our self-hatred, and all of these things. And it can be an absolutely terrifying process where we feel as if the world is being pulled from under our feet. But have no fear, because this brave knight doesn't go alone into the dark forest. he brings with him his most valuable possession, which is the light of his consciousness. And with this light, he doesn't fear the darkness, for with this light, he is able to illuminate the uncharted territory of his unconsciousness. And by doing this, he is able to see that darkness is only the absence of light. By accepting, understanding, and loving our darkness, we can turn it back into light. And through the Blue Knight's journey within his own darkness, he gains the ability to know how to deal with the darkness of others as well. So he really takes the white dog energy of understanding the emotions and psychological patterns of people to understanding their unconscious aspects and their shadows. I want you to now take a moment to think about how much suffering there is in this world. How many people have been abused physically, mentally, emotionally, how many people have suffered, how many people have been murdered, how many people have watched their loved ones struggle or die, how much injustice they have witnessed, and how only now we are learning how to deal with all of this trauma that is passed down through generations and generations. We carry as a species a huge unconscious baggage. And it's precisely because people have been traumatized in this way that we see so many disturbed individuals who are able to provoke suffering on to others. And this is happening because of all of their unresolved issues and shadows that they don't even want to look at. Like, they don't even know that those shadows are there in the first place. And instead of hating people who behave in all of these destructive ways, try to imagine and to feel the huge pain and suffering and the absolutely horrifying experiences that a person had to go through in order to lose all empathy. When we begin looking at things in this way, from this perspective, we can see people as wounded and messed up rather than evil. And by looking at things in this way, the darkness within them won't seem as scary as it did before. It might seem scary because we can't see what's there, because we don't understand it. So it's again the whole fear of the unknown. But when we know our darkness intimately, when we know all of our little monsters and fears and shadows, there is nothing to fear anymore. And now darkness can stop being scary and terrifying, and it can transform into that warm feeling of crawling into bed after a long day when we're just surrounded by warmth and peace. That is the inner sanctuary where your soul can finally rest. And we reach the inner sanctuary only once we have crossed through our inner abyss and we have faced the darkness that is there. And also, if you remember our dear friend, the White Mirror, Blue Knight is his hidden power and vice versa. Both of these archetypes teach us that what happens inward affects our outside reality and how we experience and perceive it. Whatever we are rejecting from the self will sooner or later end up reflected in our environment, either through an unpleasant situation or maybe through a person who is mirroring and reflecting the things that we are rejecting. Everything that annoys and bothers us about others and the world is a doorway through which we can better understand ourselves. If we learn how to look at the outside world through our inner world, we can begin using the apparent disharmonies within our life and our being in order to identify our inner wounds so that we can understand and heal them. But obviously, just as I've mentioned in the White Mirror Wavespell video, it's always easier to see the unconscious aspects within others than it is to see our own. Blue Knight is no better in the shadows. He can also get a little fixated on the darkness that he sees in others, maybe even end up believing that darkness is the one ruling this world. But it's not about the darkness that is out there. It's about the darkness that is in here. This is the darkness that is within our grasp, and we have the power to transform this darkness. So this is where we should be putting all of our energy. There is darkness everywhere around us. It's part of the nature of this universe, the yin and the yang, day and night, sun and moon, and all of these different polarized aspects. But duality is the nature of this reality, and even in the vastness of space, there is more darkness than there is light. But it is in this darkness that light is born, just as we are born from the darkness of our mother's womb into the light of this world. So if we are, and we are, mirrors for one another, this means that the darkest aspects within others are somewhere within me as well, or within you. We can all be cruel in certain moments, lacking empathy and hurting others because we're hurting and we're just trying to, make other people feel our pain as well. So instead of getting fixated on the darkness that we see out there in this world, focus on the darkness that is within. Start working with it, because as you do, you will see that your relationship with the darkness that is out there will change also. Because when we begin understanding our own darkness, we can understand the darkness of others, and we can begin to see the light that is hiding within it. And then we can love this darkness to death, as they say, drown it in compassion. So for these next 13 days, after the initiation of presence received through the red earth and refined through the love of the white dog, Blue Night takes this energy, transforms it, and directs it towards the inner world. So take the time to really be with yourself and look very closely at your shadows. They might actually become more obvious to you during this wave spell. And don't run away from them, but embrace them and listen to what your shadows have to say. What lies hidden within your shadow? What are the unconscious patterns that are shaping and influencing your life? Do you have the courage to dive within the dark forest of the self and walk the shamanic path of the warrior of light? Because it's what you came here to do. And you do all of this by making the darkness and the unconscious conscious. So if there are any more questions about the Dreamspell calendar, if you want to get a galactic signature decoding session where we are exploring the characteristics of your kin, or if you want to order your Dreamspell Organite pendant, and we have 20 models based on the 20 archetypes of the Tzolk'in, you can send me a message either on my Facebook page or on my email or on my Instagram, which I invite you to also follow. And if you want to look at how these pendants were created, you can do so by watching the video Dreamspell Organite Pendants. Until the next magnetic day with the archetype of the Yellow Warrior, I am wishing you a introspective wave spell. In Lak'Ech.